Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, Enrichers. Carter Wilcoxon coming to you live post-Easter. We just had that for those of you who are listening. Obviously, this comes out later on down the road, but Easter weekend, Good Friday, just happened. Hopefully, everybody had a great one and everything. And I, of course, am joined by my fantastic co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, trying to look like me with that growing that beard out. Tim James, how are you?
Yeah, the beard's out. So yeah, I went and saw my mom. My biological mom. I was adopted. I met her when I was 21 and hung out with my sister-in-law and my three nieces for Sunday for Easter. That was fun. Played Monopoly for the first time in, dude, like 30 years or something, 40 years. I don't even know. It's been a while.
You know what's interesting about that is that, during COVID, everybody did a little bit of different things when they were, at home. We actually watched a lot less TV, and we started doing like game night. So we played, Monopoly, Sorry, but we really got addicted to. Have you guys ever played Skip-Bo?
Sure.
Okay. Classic. So Skip-Bo is like the family favorite. Like even when we went on family vacation, we took it with us. We went to Newport Beach over the last summer and everything. But it was just great to sort of bring the family closer together because, a lot of families got torn apart during that time. And, we wanted to take the opposite tact. And I believe that's what we did. So anyway, Enrichers, we are super excited. You might have heard our guest today, Josh Manifold and I don't know if it's Compassion Advisors. Is that what it is, Josh?
It's Compass Ion Advisors, but it's every now and then we'll have a client that catches. It's a play on Compassion. So you're right.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because I just caught it today because I always do this for Tim. He's like, hey, make sure you put the, the about page and in the chat box and everything. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, Ion Advisors. I'm like, oh, I get it. It connected. I'm like, okay, so it's a total play. It's like Compass.
Yep.
Okay, you're an advisor, right? You're guiding people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but then there's dash and then Ion Compassion.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, actually. So,
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. So here's what I got to do for Easter as everybody probably had a great Good Friday, happy Easter and everything. And hopefully everybody did get a chance to spend some time with family and everything. I got to actually move my family. We moved homes during the weekend of Easter. So I'm trying to catch up and, get my bearings back after, a 4-bedroom home, moving from one place to another. And my wife's like, never again. We're never doing this again. So that's what I got.
How many books and how many magazines and how many game consoles, right? You question every single article of clothing. Does it need to go with us?
Oh my goodness. And my wife is, thank God, she's like the purger of the family, right? And like when we're, spring cleaning, she spring cleans on a weekly basis. It feels like, right? And we've got this standing rule that if she throws something away and I don't recognize or notice it or whatever, she goes, if you ever see something that you don't have anymore, like, hey, where's it? She's like, I'll buy you something new. She's like, so if you don't know it's going bye-bye. And it's funny because my co-host, Tim James, we were just talking recently on a podcast, and he was talking becoming more of a minimalist. So this purge really helped me to start embracing the whole minimalist campaign, if you will. So I don't know if you guys subscribed or Josh, if you subscribe to that or not, but it'll definitely help whenever you make a big family move.
Yeah. I mean, think about the number of articles or, pieces that are out there that talk about experiences, right, over, possessions. So I'm with you. Try and join that club as regularly as possible.
I don't know if there's actually such a thing as a happy hoarder. Is that even possible? They're typical. I haven't seen one yet. They're usually kind of, I don't know. They're just not happy. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah,
they're holding on to stuff, and it gets in the way. When you open up a drawer and you can't even get in there, and stuff's falling down on you when you're trying to get it, or you're trying to look. If you find yourself looking for things for over and over again, you can't even find it, and you go buy a new one. Then you find the other one a week later, and then you need it again 6 months later, and you can't find either one of them. You got to go buy a new one. Then you find the other two. You might need to purge a little bit.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
It'll be good for you. It'll be good. You know, when I help people with their health, man, it's like I come into people's homes and help them. They think that it's like, oh, he's going to help me with my diet and supplements or something and detoxing, right? Which, of course, we're going to detox the body, but part of your body it's the environment. So we want to detox. We detox the home. I go to the refrigerator, we pull out a big garbage can, and we just start tossing shit. Boom, boom, boom. And then, no. I'm like, hey, I can leave. Like, I don't need to be here. Like, I mean, look, you don't have health. I have health. Listen to me. When you're healthier than me, then I'll listen to you. And that's what it boils down to. And, you got to clean that crap out. And then we go to the pantry, start throwing out. I think usually what we do is we pile it up and we take a photo of it. And so what ends up happening is as that crap leaves the house, it's also you're detoxing your environment. You're actually detoxing your emotional and spiritual components because it's freeing you up. It's freeing up space. You're not so clogged down. People feel lighter. Everybody always tells me when they detox their home, we get done with it, they're like, I feel better. I feel better. It's really about having that high quality environment in that space to thrive.
Yeah, it's awesome. So hey, Enrichers, we're very glad that you're here, and thank you again for joining us for another episode. But let's go ahead and get into the backstory for Josh Manifold on what brought him into the financial services business, and basically having that heart for wanting to help people, which obviously based upon the name of the company that he works with and or for, having some compassion and having a compass as an advisor. So go ahead and share with us, Josh, how far back do we need to go on maybe an early influencer? Was it something that, you grew up in, or was it like during school or whatever? Share with the Enrichers, what brought you into this great organization in this, obviously this great environment of financial services.
Sure. I mean, I think one of the things that shaped me was obviously my family. So my parents were both first generation college educated. My dad is around the age of 30 diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So you think about, kind of the family that I was born into, there's a difference between, I'd call it expectations and then what actually played out, right? So my parents thought they were going to be, young, healthy, they wanted many kids. My dad was in a management track of a large Fortune 500 company. Every couple of years relocating for, job promotions, and then all of a sudden starts having some double vision, and, kind of his, gets a diagnosis that, the rug's pulled out from under him. That, single diagnosis, changed what our family was, I'd say capable of, from a, looking back from a financial standpoint. He didn't die, so there wasn't life insurance. They were, I'd say, insured from a disability standpoint, and the hardships that were then experienced because my mom then had to go back to work. So she becomes a French teacher at some public and private schools. But the financial implications of that were huge. Early retirement that was forced upon my dad because he lost the physical, verbal capabilities, couldn't drive. Like my family went through some significant hardships. I was on free and reduced lunches as a kid. So I was receiving a lot because my parents were a part of a very unique, I'll use the word, just community of friends that cared for them. One of my, probably best childhood memories is we went to a Christmas Eve service, and we come back from the service and walk, we used the back door, the porch door to get in and out of the house. And while we were at this church service, my parents' friends had basically put Christmas out on our back porch. They knew that my mom and dad lacked the financial resources that year to kind of give my brother and I the Christmas that every kid dreams of. And we turn the corner. My brother and I look at each other. We're ecstatic because it's Christmas Eve, and you're got this porch. I'll use the term full of Christmas gifts. But what I learned years later is, again, my parents didn't have the resources, and friends stepped in and helped. So I think watching, or I'd say from my point of view, being on the receiving end of generosity, watching commitment and friendships play out, not because my parents were like, hey, let's go vacation at the islands together. My parents and our family were like quite literally in need of, at times we had friends that, let us use their vacation homes at time. And that was the only reason we were going on vacation, just because it was free. My parents had needs where it was, a car broke and they couldn't afford to fix it. We had family friends that, literally gave us their car to use. My brother's braces were paid for, not because my parents had saved money and had an HSA, but because a family was willing to step in and say, you have a need, we'll help. So there's just lots of these stories where I was on the receiving end of generosity, and it kind of plants a seed in you when you see that from a young age.
Yeah. So it really does give you a unique perspective. So your dad diagnosed with MS at 30. At that age, or at that time, what is your age?
I am not born, but it changed the trajectory as far as the number of kids that they wanted to have.
Gotcha.
So that's why, I've got one brother who's 5 years older than me, and that's why I'm the last child. They kind of said, hey, if this is what life is going to look like, how responsible is it to bring more kids into the world?
Wow. So seeing that, obviously the generosity, that's phenomenal. And, zero expectations for Christmas time. So you're blown away, you and your brother.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that is I love hearing those types of stories. And then, so where did you grow up? Did you grow up where you're at now in that Philadelphia area?
Yeah, great question. In the Philadelphia area, unique situation in that we had 1 acre that was kind of like, again, because my dad wasn't mowing the yard, my brother and I were, mow the grass, cut the yard, did our own laundry, learned to cook meals 1 day a week. Like, we had all this, lists of jobs, responsibilities in early elementary school. And then we had a back acre that was all, like I'd say, trails and paths and, go make mischief and go have a bunch of fun. So it was, kind of close enough to Philadelphia to get some of the, access to urban environments and all the arts and stuff like that. But then also, I'd say suburban enough where you kind of had your own space and could, play with the neighborhood friends and do all that kind of stuff from a growing up standpoint.
Gotcha. Awesome. So, a lot of this tends to be a theme, again, from the advisors that come on the Health and Wealth podcast. Did you play sports growing up, you and your brother?
Yeah, sports were a huge part. I mean, at that point, it was all, I'd say backyard and neighbors. It was kick the can. It was, wiffle ball. It wasn't I'd say it was nowhere near the environment of structured sports that my kids are participating in or that are just commonplace in this environment. It was all just, who can you gather, go knock on doors, pick your, are we playing flag football today? Are we playing wiffle ball? What are we doing? Let's go have some fun. But yes, sports were a part between middle school, high school, played some lacrosse in college. So there was that kind of team, that coach, that, kind of that, that effort, if you will, that sports draws out of you in the best of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's pretty normal. I mean, it seems like, Tim and I both, we played baseball. That was our sport of choice, growing up and everything. And, Tim being a former wealth advisor, now, a health advisor and everything. It's interesting. It just seems like people who get into this type of industry have played some sort of, usually a team sport, right? Very rarely is it golf. I got in there, Tim. But which tends to be, I didn't know this. So my son started playing high school golf this year as a freshman, and he made the varsity team. But I played golf. That's why I moved out to Phoenix, Arizona. And it was, for me, always an individual thing because I didn't play it growing up. I played baseball, team sport. But I didn't realize how much of a team sport it is whenever you play high school or collegiate golf. So it's a very much a team sport.
Yeah. So it's individual, and then also there's the team can win too in tournaments and stuff. Yeah. It's the combined scores of the team, I imagine. Just like wrestling's kind of like that. You have everybody can win on their own or lose, but the team can win. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and in fact, I didn't think about that. I always think of like the other sort of individual sports like tennis, where you're competing against one other person or whatever. But But yeah, wrestling, I mean, that's completely individual. I mean,
ain't nobody going to help you.
yeah. There's definitely no help there for sure.
There's two ways out. You get pinned, or they pin you, or the time runs out.
Yeah.
Well, 3 ways, I guess. 3.
There you go.
That's why I'm not an advisor anymore, Josh. I'm not very good with numbers. Just kidding.
There you go. Love it.
So you ended up going to college then in the Philadelphia area, or where did you get your?
Yeah, great question. Ended up at that point, my parents had moved to Maryland and finished high school there, and through a friend of a friend, I ended up having a guy reach out to me. Was part of this kind of like, I'll call it mentoring program at my high school, and he came to me and said, "Hey, I have a friend in New Jersey who helps people when they have unique financial needs." And he said, "I'd like to introduce you and your parents to him because he might be available and interested in helping you go to college." Because this guy had already asked me, like, "How are you going to college?" He kind of knew my family circumstances, that my parents were trying to survive. They did a great job of teaching my brother and I, work hard, save money, live below your means. Like, we got that, but we didn't have conversations around how to invest and what to do with one of your 3, 4, or 5 trust funds. Those weren't exactly the conversations around our dinner table.
Sure.
So, going off to college was quite literally a matter of, obviously where you can get in. And then secondly, very quickly, you'd have considerations for what can you afford? Basically the question was, how much debt did I want to take on to get this thing called an undergrad degree? So my friend introduces me to this guy in New York. We take the train up to his office. And again, this is how ignorant I was coming out of high school. I go to a corner office in Manhattan at a very large mutual fund complex and go to a corner office. Well, I didn't grow up around a dad that was professional, so I didn't understand. I didn't have a reference for the corner office, right?
Yeah.
So my friend and I walk into this office, and he said, like, "Tell me your story. What's going on? What are you trying to do?" So I just kind of talked to him about things I'm interested in, where I'd like to go to college. And by the end of that meeting, he basically says, "Well, I'd like to help you. And just to be, very specific, wherever you can get in or wherever you want to go to college, like, I'll foot the bill." And so as a, at that point, 18-year-old, you don't really understand, the gravity of that decision, or the selflessness of that decision that someone else is making, quite literally a stranger, other than a mutual friend that we both share.
Sure.
So the reason I went to college is, or the reason I went to the school I went to, is because it was affordable, because this gentleman was willing to quite literally stroke a check for, tuition payment. Interesting. I kind of, little side note, I ended up keeping some of the debt for myself just because I did not feel compelled to have someone else pay for it. Like, I think my parents had ingrained in me, hard work and effort. So between paying for some of it because of my summer jobs, and then, taking years after graduation to pay off some of the debt, it just felt like something that was the right thing to do. So it was largely because of this, very kind man that paid for my college, but it was also through some of the, sacrifice of parents and my work. So go to college. I'm finishing college, and I'm walking past my lacrosse coach's office, and he says, at that point, I have a big goatee, hair down my back, long hair down my back. And he points to me and he goes, "How are you going to get a job?" Like, just the most pointed, direct, slightly skeptical question. I said, "No, I got this internship at a bank. I really like it. And I think I'll be good," because you just need that first little, resume, piece, and then you can kind of use that as a platform. So he goes, "Well, you need to get my wife's job." So literally in that moment, again, I'm just randomly walking down the office, the hall, and he picks up the phone, calls his wife at her office, and says, "Hey, can you get Josh an interview at your firm?" Because she was pregnant with their 3rd child, leaving, and he knew she was going to have a succession plan in place. So over the next 3 months, I get a job, or I get interviewed, finally get the job. Funny thing is, I'm there like 6 or 9 months, and I go to my boss who owns this firm, this wealth management firm, and I say, "Hey," his name's Jack. I say, "Hey, Jack, thank you for not forcing me to, shave my goatee and cut my long hair in the interview process." Because at that point, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, kept saying, like, "You might want to, cut the hair. You might want to look a little more respectable, get professional," kind of thing. So I go to Jack and I say this, and Jack goes, "Oh, Josh, I should have told you. Your hair is short. My son has hair down to, and he points to much longer hair than what I had." So it all worked out. But yeah, I got into the industry not because I had an understanding of finance or econ. I got into the industry because someone was willing to take me under their wing, teach me. If for Jack, it was a second career. So it was 1 advisor and 9 support staff. So very early in my career, I saw I'll use the term, the sales portion of the industry. And this guy was very clearly in the service and planning side. So I'm really lucky. I'm really glad that I kind of saw the advisory, the planning side of the industry in that first job.
Wow. So now the relationship with Jack then was formed just by happenstance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And then from there, it was all apprenticeship. I mean, I was there for 2 years. I'll gladly say this. My first job, I was making $28,000 a year. I'm not that old, but I was living in this, in central Pennsylvania. It's a lower cost of living, but it was a complete understudy role just to say I needed to learn some hard skills. I got all my licensing. I got everything, kind of done and out of the way, and then learned what this man had built from, again, if you've got 1 advisor and 9 support staff, the guy was a machine, and I'm forever indebted to his, skill set and philosophy.
Yeah. So pretty much priceless experience, right? I mean,
yeah.
The simple fact that you're making money was good enough for the value that you got for the training, the hands-on, the experience on being able to not only, work with those clients that I'm sure to this day you incorporated the things that you learned from that early stage of the financial services industry. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, think about, we all know that this industry, when you're young, most sales environments or sales cultures will say, write a list of 100 people that you know. Right. Let's go to your neighbor's dog sitter, your T-ball coach from 3rd grade, and let's go hawk some product and sell some stuff to them. And I didn't spend any time doing that. I didn't have to kill relationships. Right. I didn't have to be the sales guy. I didn't have to be the closer. It was literally just offering a service because I was part of Jack's team. He was the one with the skill set. He was the one with the relationships. And I was just playing the role that Jack asked me to play. And that was a wonderful understudy or apprenticeship.
Nice. Awesome.
You basically got paid to get educated, which apprenticeship is a very powerful way to transfer skill sets, and where we've gotten away from that. And I think with the, with the colleges becoming so corrupt and not really even teaching much that's viable unless you have a specific thing that you're going to do. I know, like, my son went to U of O for a couple of years, and he's like, "This is stupid." I goes, "I'm just going to go start making money," and I stopped racking up bills and stuff like that. But I did notice one thing that's really exciting to me, Josh, and in your story, because you keep talking about, like, well, these people just kept coming into my life, and then this happened, and people were showing up, and there was presents, and then I got a scholarship, and then my coach and this job and all that stuff, and I've tuned into my spiritual practice since 2018, and what I've learned is that there are many forms of abundance. They don't have to be just financial, but financial abundance is one valid form of abundance right now. It really is. But just being in the right place at the right time, and gifts that can come in, and, houses that you can stay at, right? Just, hey, go stay at the house. You don't need to own a house. I've experienced these things myself, many, many times. And as I've been, when I was struggling building my business, I was like, in my goals, I'm like, yeah, I want to have an infrared sauna, and I want to have a hyperbaric chamber in my house. It's some of my goals long term, but a long time ago, were like, I want to have this stuff in my home. And when I moved out of this one place, I had the sauna myself, but I sold my sauna. But the places that I went to help other people heal themselves, I've been on this, like, sabbatical for 3 years. The last house that I'm in right now, I have my sauna here, but she ended up buying a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, and then I got to use it, right?
Yeah.
Before I had the cash to do it. So it's just like, you don't always have to go buy stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It can come. And I believe that when you're falling, so I'm just going to take a guess here, but I know I'm already right, which is, you were probably pretty happy growing up as a kid, weren't you?
Oh, I mean, you think about, free time, you think about, what was fun. Absolutely.
You were just doing what gave you the most excitement and joy, right?
Completely. Yeah. Whether it was, rec soccer on Saturday, and then that ended, and you ran off and played basketball with all your buddies from elementary school, and then you went off and played, lacrosse next season, and then all those things. That was complete contentment, joy, and fun. You're absolutely right.
Right. And when you follow that thread of excitement, That's how this stuff lines up, listeners. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, Enrichers, and when we get back, we'll get more into like what Josh is doing with his clients right now to help them keep their money safe and secure and growing. We'll be right
Estate
back.
planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to eState Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us or go to our website for more information.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house, we've got Josh Manifold from Compass Ion Advisors, or he's a very compassionate guy. Compass Ion spells compassion. It's pretty cool. We're going to talk about that a lot today because Carter and I think it's cool. All right. So, Josh, you know, you're an advisor now. You're seeing clients. You're helping them. What is it like? What's your niche? What are you doing to help people, you know, from start to finish?
Yeah, great question. We've built a firm. I'm again a benefactor of, I'd say, you know, of long-term generosity. 4 guys founded this firm about 20 years ago, and over a number of years of either just retirement or kind of partners moving on, my current co-owner and I are the two that kind of own and lead and run our firm. So what do I do now? I've got responsibilities for running and operating the firm. We operate as an RIA. We're fiduciary for families. And I still have client responsibilities as well. So we're working with a variety of entrepreneurs, you know, retirees. I would say, honestly, like, we don't have a niche, which is kind of the beauty of what we've been able to, I'd say, achieve and offer to a wide variety of families with complex situations, at different seasons of life with different expectations, all with sometimes just different problems and different pain points in their finances and what they're trying to accomplish. So, you know, in the day and age where everybody's saying this is their niche, they work with, you know, left-handed underwater basket weavers that were born on Thursdays. I've seen some pretty unique niches. Like we don't. So that's been a real, from our point of view, opportunity for us.
You know, I also like on your website, I was looking under the About Us page. Usually it's like, you know, Josh Manifold, principal, you know, Matt Cain, president, you know, just naming off a few people. But you guys have it different. It says Josh Manifold, adventure seeker, father of 4, principal. Matt Cain, soccer and fishing addict, father of 5 boys, president. So I just thought that was a really cool, I like that a lot. I might, because I do that too on my thing. It's like, yeah, CEO and founder, but it's like, you know, I'm yoga instructor, chef, and learning guitar. You know, it puts the realism in the person rather than just being some, you know, stoic, boring figure.
You get it.
Yeah, you know, and Josh, I love that as well. You know, because here's the thing. I don't know if all too often is the right thing to say, but very often what ends up getting lost during, you know, from a financial advisor's perspective, is the fact that you're dealing with human beings, right? And you are dealing with relationships. And, you know, you mentioned how you work with like people that have these complex situations. Well, guess what? Everybody's situation is complex to them.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, I need guidance. I need help, right? But at the end of the day, and this will never, ever change. And the reason why we love having our guests come onto the podcast, so you can be able to share this with your, you know, current clients or prospective clients or whatever, is people do business with those that they know, they like, and they trust. What's really hard to like and trust somebody if you don't know them at all, right? And so in that same vein, the relationship and that perspective, and what I love about how you're like, we don't have like a niche. Like, I would venture a guess that you like to work with people who you like to work with, and vice versa. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, guys, our website filters out, a certain, personality, right? Either one, if you're looking for some, I'll call it, performance-based outcome, right? Like, you're not going to really be interested in our services, right? We're advice and we're planning based. Okay. The other side is if your personality or expectations are you're looking for someone who tries to communicate ego, tries to communicate I'm the smartest man or woman in the room, that's not our mantra, right? So there's a curiosity, there's a natural humility to, let's build a team around you, right? Our CSRs, our planning department, incredibly wise and competent human beings, right? With their own stories. And at the same time, we just kind of lead with curiosity and say, we just need to understand who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Most people can very clearly say what's wrong with their relationships and or their relationships with money. And I think that's an interesting concept that we try to unpack through understanding mission, vision, values, and goals for the families that we serve to say, where are you at? Where are you trying to get? And what are some of the roadblocks or what are some of the reasons you haven't gotten there? And we've got stories as far as, last year we had a tech firm. The founder sold his business, and somewhere around 60 days before, basically with the advice that we were going through, realized he wanted to sell a portion of the business to a donor advised fund. So we basically turned on a dime, created, I'd call it a fire drill of there's a deadline because the transaction's happening. And he was able to liquidate 10% of his company, a privately held company, to a donor advised fund, got all the tax benefits, his CPA's on board, checks all the boxes. Why? Because he valued generosity and said, what do I do now? So we did an RFP with 4 different donor advised fund platforms and got the job done in an efficient manner where he was focused on the legal and compliance side. We handled all the finance stuff to get it done in the last second. So you're absolutely right. We're at a season where it's really nice to kind of select and choose, what are the personalities? What are the circumstances? What are the goals that are these prospects or someone who's interested in working with us? What is it that they want? Let's make sure we understand fit, not just you have a pulse and you have a dollar.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I know that pre-show and everything, when we were chatting, you said that you got a chance to listen to a few of the other podcasts and everything. And one of the things, so Tim has what he calls his core 4, and then I have, as far as like my own bit of takeaway or my knowledge that I like to share is something that I call creating a 4A client. And the 4 A's stand for something specific, right? And it goes right in line with what you're talking about, right? So in order to grow your practice, you want 4A clients and as many of them as you can get. And the 4 A's are this: those who have the right attitude, who have the right aptitude, with the proper amount of assets, who can become advocates for what it is that you do, right? So that is the recipe as far as if you can, I'm generalizing here now, if you can create a lot of those 4A clients, they become an advocate and a raving fan on, they're ultimately going to attract for you, maybe it's a 5A client, they're going to attract those same types of individuals that they surround themselves with, right? So if you can multiply and duplicate your top 10 households you work with every single year in and year out, it's impossible to not become successful.
Yeah.
And love what you do.
Completely.
Yeah. So, Tim, what do you think about that?
It's just amazing.
So
makes sense. That's what people want.
Yeah. So I did notice, and what I'd like to get your take on this a little bit, because we throw around that word fiduciary on a regular basis, right? And I get it. We want to, Fisher Investments fiduciary, Schwab and fiduciary. It's like we beat this fiduciary thing to death and everything. But, what you do and why financial services is interesting. It's really impossible to not do the right thing for your client, right? Like you can't be successful in this industry by not doing the right thing for your client. But I am interested on how you marry, because I noticed on some of your licensing, you're a fiduciary, RIA and everything, but you guys also deal with insurance and things of that nature. So you've got some commission stuff, but also some fee stuff also. And I'm just wondering how, with your clients, how you help them understand the value and the benefit of having those two different, mindsets and solutions simultaneously.
Yeah, great question. From our point of view, the vast majority of our revenue is from the fee-based side of our service offering and source of revenue, which is singularly from client fees. In the past, there was not a 529 RIA option. There's a plan out of Utah that is recently converted and now has RIA compatibility. We actually then, as a firm, once we switched from our brokerage-based or commission-based 529s, because that's all the industry was offering, to Utah, we then looked at the revenue, looked at our clientele, and said, you know what, this is an opportunity for cost savings. So as a firm, we no longer bill on or charge for 529s. So from our point of view, we found an incredibly competitive offering within that plan. Dimensional, Vanguard, PIMCO, fund offerings, incredibly low fund offering or plan administration fees. So our brokerage side or our commission-based portion of the business is for the occasional form of life insurance, but typically we're outsourcing that. We have a list of partners that do a great job on the life insurance. As there's an annuity or some type of an income option, if that's something that is needed and called for in the lens or through the lens of a financial plan, then that happens. But there's such little, I'd say, commission-based or broker-dealer-based business. It's kind of hard to talk about given the grand scheme of where our true revenue as a firm comes from.
Yeah, sure. So but you understand, being in this industry, about the importance, obviously, for households to have. I mean, you were talking about with your dad, right? He didn't die. There wasn't a life insurance, but that's a critical piece of the equation for the unintended or for the things that are unforeseen, right? I mean, so as a fiduciary, as an advisor, the importance of that as being part of an overall portfolio of someone's protection.
You have to. I mean, guys, we can sit here and talk finance all day because it's what we are either curious about or it's part of our job. But I know, and I regularly sit with families who say they are overwhelmed. It's complex. It never makes it to their top 10 list of things they want to do that day, that week, or that month. And so it's literally like they come to a meeting, but it's almost like they're kind of dragging their feet going, I'd rather be doing 100 other things. But they get to a certain point, and that's usually some form of an intersection. Could be the death of a parent, right? Could be a divorce, could be a retirement where they're saying, this is a big enough priority. Something just happened, and now I need to get serious. Now I need to be curious. Now I need to sit with a professional who's going to understand me and give me true advice and a financial plan and give me ongoing investment recommendations. And that's kind of that difference. I would actually say that as much as you might have beat the word fiduciary to death on your podcast or in conversations with your friends, when I talk to the general investing public, from my point of view, they still don't understand the difference. Yeah. And as far as what they think their big box, firm is offering or capable of, they don't understand the conflicts of interest. They don't understand the product-based incentives that exist. And once they kind of have an understanding or an introduction to an RIA model, that's where they're going, oh my, I didn't know that existed. Why? How could I ever go back to, an old world, an old model, those things that exist.
Yeah. So I'm curious, and I know that we've got, a few more minutes in this segment, but I'd like to find out, over the last 2 years, something has happened in the world. I don't know if you know about it or not, but there's been some changes going on.
Yeah.
What's it been like for you as far as growing your practice, meeting with clients? I have learned that, especially even myself, as we work, with a lot of different advisors throughout the country, having meetings virtually is really, really easy now. And a lot of their clientele, and I just want to get this from you, they've become comfortable, even in their, 60s or 70s, sometimes 80s, and even 90s, comfortable like having like virtual meetings. Are you seeing that same type of a trend where you're at there?
Absolutely. I mean, I think clients want to meet, and rightfully so. They want it more and more on their terms, right? I mean, we'll send an invitation for a meeting, and from our template email says, what are the things that are important to you? So to create an agenda that says, when do you want to meet and how do you want to meet? Do you still like phone calls? Do you still like Zoom meetings? I mean, from a generational standpoint, it's wonderful for us because, when clients retire and then their kids live 3 states away, for some of our families, they value transparency, right? So they're a values-driven family, and they're saying, I need my son, I want my daughter, right? And they're able to join those calls, where in our pre-COVID world, where it was, we're meeting Thursday at 4:00, park on the 3rd level parking garage, take the elevator, to the 2nd floor and meet with us in our conference room. That wasn't something that they were either comfortable with, or, when you live 3 hours away or 3 states away, the kids weren't joining. And so I think, transparency is going up, time effectiveness is going up, client engagement is going up. For the clients that are saying this is convenient, I'm okay using technology as some part of our relationship, it's been a huge win for clients, their kids, their grandkids. That kind of engagement's really driven curiosity. It's driven, good questions. Their CPAs can join, their attorneys can join. It's really building that team environment that is in care of, right? That's in service of the client experience. So we see that on a regular basis. Huge fans of it.
Yeah, and I honestly, I don't see that changing. I see that being more and more embraced. And I believe the enlightened advisors that we have been, coaching and training and teaching ourselves, we're like, don't go by way of the dodo bird, right? You need to embrace the digital age.
Yeah.
Transformation, because we're in it now, right?
Yeah.
You need to embrace the digital age, because I can promise you that a lot of the clientele that our advisors work with, they are the older generation, right? They are the boomers and the seniors. And even in order to keep in touch with the kids and the grandkids, they were forced to have to start doing virtual meetings, right? So it wasn't like, and then they started growing comfortable in it. Well, why can't your practice, your advisory practice? Well, in fact, why? You better embrace that sort of communication.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and other advisors are embracing that, you will definitely lose out on that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you think there's a whole, I'll call it the financial entertainment complex, right? That exists and makes things, overly difficult. You got, from our point of view, I think we've got a team and a process that makes, things simple, makes things easy, whether it's just scheduling a meeting, whether it's just getting something done, whether it's just answering a question, or whether it's the actual, entire comprehensive financial planning process. You're right, that those things are should be expected on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. The ease of doing business with you is going to attract a heck of a lot more clientele than trying to continually live in the old paradigm, if you will.
Yeah. And some clients are like so jaded. They're just waiting for one thing to go wrong to just, that's it, and I'm out of here. And they take off, and it's just some people are like that. So hopefully you're not attracting those people, Josh.
We try not to. You're right.
He's got that positive vibe going on, right?
Totally, dude. Yeah. I like the website. I like the attitude. I like everything. I like the story. All right, guys. So let's take another break, and then when we get back, we'll flip the script, and Josh can ask me anything he wants, his little heart desires about health. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here, back with my co-host Carter Wilcox. And today in the house, we've got Josh Manifold. And Josh, this is the part where we flip that script and you get to ask me questions about health. So what's your questions, brother?
Sure. Just wanted to start. What do you advise? What do you recommend from a sleep standpoint? Can you kind of walk through and help we work with clients who are that kind of, I'd say, stressed, two income, both working, trying to balance kids, and then all the way, through, retirees. So like, talk to the importance of sleep from a health standpoint. Like any opinion, any perspective on that?
Sure. It's a big topic. The sleep, in my opinion, is besides freedom and love, the number one nutrient is air, because we perish without it in 4 to 7 minutes. So oxygen is pretty darn important. If we're going to look at how long we can live without it, oxygen's number one. Number two would be water, because without water, you're dead in 11 days. And sleep is number three, because it's about 11 days on sleep too. If you don't sleep for 11 days, you die. So sleep's up there. It's a big one. And, when you're not feeling good, what do you want to do? You want to sleep. So it's a place to restore and regenerate. When people are wanting to build muscle, you don't build muscle in the gym. In the gym, you tear it down. It's actually built at night when you're sleeping, as the muscles are regrowing and stuff. So sleep is important. So you have to think about your environment when you're sleeping. So what's your air quality? That's a big one. If you're in a bedroom that has carpet, man, do you need an air purification system, because that carpet's off-gassing formaldehyde. You're embalming yourself and your children. You don't know it though, because we can't see this stuff. So the chemicals are bad. And just to give you an idea, Josh, all you have to do is type in umbilical cord chemical, those 3 words, into your browser when you're done, and go check out these studies going back to 2005. Every single child being born and the young mothers are completely polluted with, 180 cancer-causing chemicals at the low end. 212 chemicals cause developmental and brain disorders. So we're born polluted today. Older we are, the more time we've had to bioaccumulate these toxins. So if you want to get a good night's sleep, you want to get awesome air. How do you do that on the cheap? Start cracking your windows at night. Let some fresh air in. Even if you live in cities, the air in your home is 100 times more polluted than what's outside. So fresh air is important. Take it to another level. You get a air purification system. We have my best choice. It's on our website now. You want to get a really, really awesome, you can get a whole house system too, where you can get UVs going through in the HVAC and really clean up your air. So you can spend as little or as much as you want on that. We also want to look at EMFs and ELFs, electric magnetic frequencies and electric low frequencies. The ELFs come from your electrical grid in your house. So if you have all these plugins, if your head or your body is within 3 foot of an electrical socket, you're getting zapped, and that can disrupt not only cells but your sleep. So we've seen this. We take a little thing and you go up to a light socket, and as you get within 3 foot of it, it goes, and then people are like, "Oh my God, my head's right there," and they get it. But without that little device, you don't know. You can't see it. You can't. Most people can't feel it or nothing, so they don't know. So they don't believe it. It's like woo woo, but it's real. That's electric low frequency. Now the EMS can come from your smart meter, aka should be called a death meter. Get that thing stopped. It's like, I think it's like $80. They'll come out and remove it and charge you an extra $10-12 a month. Get that off your house. That's pumping out 2.4 gigahertz. So what a lot of our clients will do, especially ones that are highly sensitive, will have an a contractor come, an electrician, and they fix a switch on at least their bedroom, or when they come in and go to bed at night, they flip the switch and all the power stops coming into their bedroom at least. Right. So this is the level of thinking on this stuff. The other thing you want to do is you want to get a really awesome bed. I mean, you're going to be spending a third of your life sleeping, and you want to get the best quality sleep ever. Man, the bed industry is jacked. It's really jacked. If you're doing one of those beds that are, they're different numbers, you can sleep and it's an air chamber, it's eventually you're going to have mold toxicity. It's impossible not to, because mold will get inside of these air chambers because of just temperature fluctuations. It creates mold in there and moisture. If you're sleeping on memory foam, man, you're just breathing in a tremendous amount of toxins, and the memory foams aren't really good on your spine either. So the chiropractors really don't like those. So you want to get a good bed that's going to support the spine. It's non-toxic. The beds that I have, I did over 1.5 years worth of research on my bed before I picked it out. And it's freaking awesome. The only thing that sucks about when you get one of these beds is you don't want to take a vacation. I'm serious. Like, they're that good. In fact, the last layer on this bed is a 2-inch gel matrix that they use in hospitals for paraplegics, quadriplegics, and people that are incapacitated, so they don't get pressure points and get those open sores because they're just not moving. This gel matrix completely disperses all weight and makes it all even. So you can look at it on pressure points. It eliminates all the pressure points. And if you eliminate pressure points, you eliminate disturbing your sleep, so you don't wake up as much and you sleep deeper, right? So your bed technology, you're cracking your windows. I also diffuse essential oils at night, and I rotate at least 4 different ones, because you don't want to do the same essential oil every night or every 2 or 3 nights. It's 4 minimum, and then rotate it. Maybe it's lavender one night, and then the next night it's, Roman chamomile, and the next night. What's that?
Frankincense. That's one of my
frankincense.
Newest,
yeah, if you're a foodie, you could get chocolate. You could vanilla. Vanilla is a very pleasant smell. It really is. In fact, when I was back in the mortgage industry, I used to coach my real estate agents when they're doing their open houses and tell them one of the best things you can do is, bake some cookies or diffuse like get some vanilla smells going. Now, back then I didn't know about diffusers, so I told them to put in the toxic vanilla deals, but I didn't know. But people like vanilla, right? They like vanilla. So those things, that way when you're sleeping, you're actually gently medicinally helping your body. You're giving your body like light doses of plant-based medicine through these essential oils. It's pretty cool. Other than that, there's prep work to sleep well, avoiding blue lights and stuff at least an hour before you go to bed, so that, because if you have light in front of your eyes, your body still thinks it's daylight, so it won't kick in and produce melatonin, which is the first step to kind of get you into sleep. So, get like a soft, low light, read a book, get electronics out of your room. Sauna before you go to bed. If you don't have a sauna, get one. If you don't have a sauna yet and you're on your way to get one, then you can go in. A tactic we use is just rinsing off in the water. Just get in the water, rinse off, and then just dry off. That's it. You'll sleep better. Something about the water coming in, it's just a soothing effect. And one of these things, these are called spunk mats. You can get them at spunkspace.com. This is an acupressure mat. You see those little spikes? You can lay on this for 10, 15 minutes before you go to bed. It helps you sleep. Plus, it's great for low back pain and all kinds of stuff. So there's a snippet into a comprehensive approach of things that we do when we have clients come in that have health issues, whether it's stage 4 cancer or MS, which I would like to talk about, by the way. I don't know if is your dad still alive?
No, he passed about 15 years ago. Okay.
That's unfortunate. I wish I would have known this information and I was able to teleport back and help him. But yeah, those are some of the things around the sleep area that we do to stack in our clients' environment and their lifestyle so they can get their health back.
Yeah. I'm open to talking about anything around the MS side, but my next question was, I feel like I'm seeing a cultural, I'll call it a cultural underdog that is saying people that are done with alcohol for a variety of reasons. But I'm seeing dry bars, with businesses, pop up. I'm seeing, is it No Drink January, right? There's a whole, I'd say, cultural shift around people understanding, or people kind of asking questions around how is alcohol affecting my health, let alone all the other things. But it's like, can you speak to any opinion, any perspective on the role alcohol plays on your body, on longevity, on health, anything on that topic?
Yeah, sure. So if you go over to Europe and stuff like that, there's going to be, because I have to preface this with this information, because a lot of people are going to be going, well, you drink a glass of wine or two a night and that's healthy for you. And well, a lot of times when people are doing that, yeah, it can be a de-stressor, right? Because stress is, but you can also meditate, you can do breath work, you can bounce on a mini trampoline, you can go for a walk. There's a lot of things. You can play with a grandkid. There's a lot of things you can do to de-stress. Okay, it doesn't have to be booze. But I'm not saying you have a drink or two, no big deal. Shoot me, it's not a big deal. Parties, birthdays, weddings, okay. But when it's day in and day out, yeah, that can be a problem, right? And some people are like 1 to 2 drinks, and that's what they want to live their life. That's fine. It's no problem. But those people over there in Europe and stuff like that, like the Sardinians that are part of this group called, in the blue zones, they have the most centurions, the people that are living the longest. There was 4 common factors in all these people: the Okinawans in Japan, the Costa Rica, there's people in Costa Rica, there's the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, California. All these little blue zones, they call them, where people have the most centurions. They live the longest. The 4 common factors: number 1, lifelong friends. So socializing, very important, and having good bonds and friends were tribal. Number 2, respecting elders. That was another thing in the culture. Number 3 was movement. They move every day. And number 4 was an 80% plant-based diet or greater by weight. So the more plants that you have them, and the fresher the plants and the fresher the food, the healthier you're going to be. Because the more your food's commercialized, denatured, bagged, boxed, canned, jarred, heated, pasteurized, irradiated, synthetic, added, shipped, had ethylene pumped into the truck so the vegetables stay longer. All these things are a distortion from nature. And we are nature. So we need to plug back into the mothership, which is Mother Earth. So fresh foods are of utmost importance when it comes to health. And I got off topic. Can you restate the question again?
I don't know. Was just interested in alcohol. Just the
alcohol. Yeah, I don't get this alcohol question very much. All right. So my personal opinion is what I've learned is that if you here's the unfortunate side. If you have 1 beer, 1 shot of whiskey, 1 glass of wine, you're destroying your gut microbiome. Your gut microbiome is a huge part of your immune system. You have the innate immune system, the adaptive immune system, the interferon system, the gut microbiome, and the neural system. That's the modern view of the immune system that came out of the National Scientist Foundation lecture in the fall of 2019 by Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Unfortunately, our medical system is still based on that 60-year, at best, maybe 100-year-old antiquated model of the immune system, just the innate and the adaptive, the 2-box model. It's not the case. So if your gut microbiome is a massive, important part, and I mean, kind of everybody knows this now too, because look at what probiotic sells. I mean, people kind of know they're buying probiotic foods and sauerkrauts and kimchis, and they're starting to do that stuff because we're realizing, I mean, when people have severe issues and gut issues, they're even doing fecal implants now. They're taking fecal material from healthy people and implanting it rectally into unhealthy people to help them recolonize these bacteria. That's how important it is. Okay, so they're doing it in Western medicine and functional medicine where they're doing fecal implants. That should tell you how important it is in that delicate microbiome system you have going in there and why you don't want to disrupt it. So if you can have compensating factors and you're working out and you're drinking, healthy water and doing all this stuff and green juices and you're sleeping well, you could probably get away with it. But if you have any health issues at all, it's probably a good idea to not drink. It just probably is a good idea. Not only will it disrupt the gut microbiome, but alcohol, people are not alcoholics. They're sugar addicts because alcohol converts to sugar in the body, and it's acidy. It's very acid, so it leads to sore joints, arthritis, headaches, gout, these types of things. It's acid inflammation. So we're trying to keep our bodies as alkaline and high oxygen as possible. And sugar, which what alcohol really is, it's sugar. It just doesn't do that. It doesn't really do a body that good. But again, I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just saying, hey, I used to drink. I don't drink anymore. I just don't. I mean, I might have one here and there. Like if I'm going out with some friends, usually I just drink, I go crazy and I have, Carter's not going to believe it, but I had carbonated water. I know it steals minerals from your bones, but I had some carbonated water with a little splash of cranberry juice, and I have them squeeze some lime in it. And that's what I'll do. Or I might have like a coffee and Bailey's, which I don't drink coffee and I don't drink. But those two together, it's like you should see me on a coffee and Bailey's. In fact, I'm a little tired right now because we did that. We were out late Sunday night because I'm taking off. I was out late. Dude, I've been up late. I'm tired right now. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm dragging, man. I've been working all day, and it's like sleep's important. It's really important because I've been off of sleep for 3 out of the last 4 days, like up till 4 a.m, 2 nights in a row.
Brutal.
Yeah, going out with friends and then coming back home and then playing music for 2 hours until like 4 a.m, right? So, but yeah, so sleep is important, and alcohol is one of those things that's buyer beware. I would do it in limited quantities. If you have any health concerns whatsoever, I would completely avoid it.
My last topic was something you just touched on, and that was sugar. Can you help us understand from a diet standpoint, just, where are all the places that sugar shows up in the, foods we're eating, what we're in the things we're drinking? Like just any opinion on the role sugar plays in, I'll call it the average, the typical, the normal American diet.
Well, first off, if you go back and look at the history of sugar, maybe you go like back to the 1500s when there was kings and peasants, right? Well, nobody had sugar. It was expensive. It was hard to get. Actually, the kings had it under lock and key, like locked up. And it was only brought out for birthdays and holidays and that kind of stuff. And the kings and stuff, they were eating their faces off and overeating, and they were the ones that were fat and unhealthy. The peasants who ate lower on the food chain, they were very healthy, and they worked all day in the fields. So because they moved their bodies and they ate food directly from the earth. So that's the basis. Now, moving forward today, sugar's in everything. And sugar cane is the most highly sprayed crop in the world. They spray more pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, larvicides, chemical fertilizer than anything else. Cotton, I think, is number 2. That's why if you're wearing cotton and it's not organic, you're polluting yourself. It's off-gassing chemicals into your body from the sprays. So you, when it comes to, sugar, what are the things to look out for that are common? Well, number 1 would be just like, wheat noodles. Like wheat. Like they're taking wheat in its dormant state, grinding it up, adding sugar and salt and some yeast, and they make noodles out of it. They make spaghetti out of it. They kind of make this stuff. It's not sprouted, meaning soaked in water first to release its natural insecticide or protectant, and it becomes more, on average, about 8 times more digestible. Any nut, seed, grain, or bean should be soaked in water first, period, to activate it. Activate the enzymes, release those natural insecticides, and become more digestible. That's not happening. So when you're eating wheat over here in the States, it's got gluten in it, and there's all these gluten sensitivities. It's like glue to your gut. There's celiac disease, all this stuff. I have people that are highly sensitive to wheat. They go over to Europe and eat it, no problem. They come over here, it's a shit show. And it's because of hybridization, genetic modification. They're disrupting the plant's metabolism, and it's actually creating more formaldehyde, just like the carpets. So things to stay away from. If you see wheat gluten, whole wheat, it's still wheat. Whole wheat bread. You're eating bread, turns right to sugar. You eat oatmeal, sugar. Sugar. See what else? So pastas, pastries, you got to watch out for that stuff. Milk has a lot of sugar in it, dairy, cow's milk. And even some of these other ones now, these almond milks and stuff that are sweetened, I can't even, I just like, ugh, to me, it's nasty. Because I'm so clean now, like there's no way I could eat that stuff. I sweeten my stuff up with Stevita brand stevia, the liquid drops, because they process theirs without chemicals, and it's it makes it sweet, but it's actually good for diabetics. Actually, it actually helps to regulate blood sugar. Imagine a sweetener that regulates blood sugar. That's pretty cool, right? Monk fruit's another alternative. So yeah, pastries, pastas, that kind of stuff. Alcohol has sugar in it. But they put sugar in everything, cereal. They just put it in about everything. And sugar has a bunch of different names nowadays.
Yeah.
So if you see anything in an ingredients list ending in OSE, O-S-E, it's probably a sugar. Maltodextrin, dextrose, sucrose, stuff like that. So don't read the front of the label. You have to go to the ingredients list and read that. That's very important nowadays. And try to buy minimal ingredients and try to buy fresher foods. And just stay away from sugar, because sugar is one molecule. Like, it's very similar to cocaine. It's only one molecule off. But if you look at the chemical structure of cocaine and sugar, absolutely almost identical in chemical structure. And 3 times as hard is more addictive than cocaine.
Wow. That's crazy, right?
Speechless.
Yeah, Josh.
And you'll find, too, it makes you tired. It makes your teeth hurt. When you put sugary stuff and you got tooth issues, your teeth hurt. You eat stuff like that, your bones hurt, right? It's just like, it's not, you go out in nature, go ahead and try to find big bags of sugar in nature. It ain't going to happen. The only time you're going to find it is when fruit is ripe, and fruit today has been hybrid 30 to 50 times more sweeter than its origins. So like the fruit that we're eating today is not even, it wasn't even created by God. It was just man's manipulated most of it because people, I mean, imagine a fruit stand. It's like, hey, sour apples. Hey, honey, let's get some of those. No, it's going to say sweet apples, and you're going to pull in and get it. Sweet watermelon, sweet oranges. That's good. Because we are programmed to look for sweet, to look for fat and sugar and salt in nature, because there's not a lot of it. And it's not easy access. Now, maybe you can, get some honey, but you're probably going to get stung. So unless you're a bear and you got a thick hide, or you got a, you were ahead of your time and you built yourself a little Iron Man suit back in the 1400s, you're probably not going to be able to get that honey very easily. I guess you could light a fire and smoke them out. That's probably what I'd do. Calm them down a little bit, get them in there, but I don't like getting stung by bees. So other than that, man, take your kids and your family and go walk around the woods and try to find salt, fat, and sugar. Good luck. We have one sugar receptor in our gut. We have 25 bitter receptors in our gut. What does that tell you? Well, common sense person, if you grew up on a farm like I did, says that we should probably eat stuff that's bitter. Dandelion leaf, we look at it as a weed. It's a top 10 Chinese herb, and we go buy cancer-causing Roundup and spray it on the dandelion, and then track that crap into our house and pollute our kids and give ourselves, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Killing something that's a top 10 herb that is bitter, that would work with our receptors in our stomach and give us ideal health. You see how backwards everything is today? It's kind of crazy, but awareness is the first step.
Yeah. Well, so do you have any other health questions? I know we're winding down, and Richards, and we appreciate you being on this episode and everything. But Josh Manifold, do you have anything else that you want to talk as far as health? But before we go, I got to get in that you were talking about your hair pre-show. It was wavy, right? But now it's like growing back. And you said you lost a lot of hair, right?
Yeah. I moved to Ethiopia halfway through college and just kept growing my hair out, right, years ago. And one day I woke up and it finally dropped. So recently, just with health issues, lost a significant amount of hair, and it came back, and it is curlier than ever. So I don't know if in a year or two I'll be back to normal wavy hair, or if the curliest hair is here to stay. We'll see, guys. You'll have to let me know.
So now the question of the hour is do you still consume Fits?
Fits? I don't know what that is.
You went to Ethiopia, right?
Oh, yes.
Like
Injera and Watt. Yes. Yeah, I know. There were plenty of great food options when I was living in Ethiopia.
Yeah, actually, did you eat teff when you were over there?
Yeah, there's a whole menu of yes.
Are you still eating teff?
No. Because my stomach didn't agree with a lot of the offerings over there. Great experience, loved it. But at the end of 7 months, I was ready to get back to some other food options.
Well, there's usually some literally digestive change that has to happen when you go, because there's a whole different set of microbiome over there adjusting and stuff. But I don't know if they were sprouting the teff. It's a little tiny seed. It's a powerhouse. One of the runners from Ethiopia, who was like I think he won a gold medal. He was one of the top 3 athletes, sprinters in the world. He moved to Sweden because Ethiopia didn't have an Olympic committee or nothing. They couldn't have a team, and at the time, and he ran on the Swedish team. But his times he went from the top 3 fastest guys in the world down to the top 100 very quickly. And they were trying to figure out what is going on. And he said the only thing that has changed was my diet, because he went from eating stuff in Ethiopia and teff to, Swedish pancakes and whipped cream and bacon and all that stuff. So he thought, well, let's try it. So he went back, he got teff, started eating that stuff, and he right back up into the top 3, won the gold medal. And then this guy opened up a health food store because he figured out how important nutrition was.
That's a great
experience in Sweden. Pretty cool.
Love it.
For Switzerland, Switzerland. I think one of those 2 places. Started with an S. It's in Europe.
No, wait, it was Finland.
It wasn't Finland.
just kidding.
But they do sauna a lot over there, so we can learn from them about you should take sauna every day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So that's kind of cool, Josh, that you spent, would you say 7-8 months in Ethiopia?
Yeah. Was close to finishing, or basically got through freshman year and realized, hey, wait a second, there's got to be more to life. Wasn't really valuing the academics, and a friend invited me to go over and kind of work in a small, or in the suburb of Addis Ababa, which is the capital city over there. So I ended up working in the Shoeshine boy community. A lot of the kids over there had lost their parents and grandparents to the AIDS epidemic, and so they were parentless and kind of working on the streets. And it was kind of aid development type work for 7 months. It was absolutely wonderful living and learning from my Ethiopian friends.
Wow, what a life experience. Well, I'm sure that we could learn a whole heck of a lot more about Josh Manifold if we had more time. And maybe what we'll have to do is we'll have to have a follow-up show and learn more about you and what's going on with your hair.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Or what happens. Hey, Enrichers, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts, Apple, Google, or Spotify. For all of our previous recordings from other fantastic guests like Josh Manifold, make sure to check out our website at www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com. And again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. So for my fantastic co-host, Mr. Chemical-Free Body himself, Tim James, and our wonderful guest today, Josh Manifold of Compass Ion Advisors, play on words, Compassion Ion Advisors. I'm Carter Wilcoxon. Hey, Enrichers, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James, and by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode, and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.